household debt has now hit another all-time high. Yep, household debt's hit an all-time high. This is a report out from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. They do a study every quarter, and this is the end of the second quarter of 2025. Household debt reaches $18.39 trillion in the second quarter of 2025. I'll make sure to put a link in the description for this particular study. I want to break down the difference between the housing debt and the non-housing debt. And then closer to the end of this video, I want to share with you the delinquency rates right now. The percentage of these loans or mortgages that are currently in delinquency at least 90 days or more past due. So as for the mortgage debt, of course, that's the biggest piece of it. The mortgage debt is sitting around 13.35 trillion. That's 13.35 trillion. Now that includes your first mortgages, and I believe they also include your home equity lines of credit and your home equity loans in that total number as well. The non-housing debt, which would be things like auto loans, student loans, credit cards, and personal debts, those are sitting at just over $5 trillion. Now, when we break down the non-housing debt into those categories, what we're sitting at right now, and I'm just looking at the study here, again, you can get that in the description if you'd like. The auto loan amount hit a new record, a record of $1.66 trillion in auto loan. The student loans have hit $1.64 trillion, and credit cards have hit their record again at $1.21 trillion. Other is about $0.54 trillion. Again, those are more like personal loans and things. The concerning one obviously is, well, I mean, they're all concerning, but auto loans and credit cards, especially credit cards, credit card at $1.21 trillion at the interest rates that they currently have. I mean, some of these credit cards are now in the mid 20s as far as the rate is concerned. And quite a few people actually carry balances from month to month, which is just eating away at their opportunities to put money somewhere else, or, to give or to save or invest properly. So it definitely is an issue right now with the amount of debt that we all hold. We need to figure out a way to start paying that down, get us to a position where we can get out of some of this high interest credit card debt, so that frees up that money, or allows us to start putting that towards other things like the future. If you've watched some of my other videos, you've seen that we have what I call a retirement crisis that is on the horizon. And with this much debt, and these payments going to this debt obviously takes away from the opportunity to put money into savings and investments for retirement accounts. Until we figure out how to manage these or how to get these paid down, we're going to have an extremely difficult time of actually funding our future and our retirement. And if you're wondering which generation holds the most debt, well, Gen X is the generation. They hold the highest debt load per household in America. And unfortunately, Gen X is also one of the generations that has the biggest gap between what they have saved for retirement and what they are projected to need for retirement. Gen X is definitely in a kind of a tough spot right now, for sure. Now, I get it. I know that the cost of living right now is out of control, and we're having to utilize debt more than we probably had in the past because of the fact that things just cost way too much. It's just a lot right now. Okay. Inflation has gone way up over the last several years and has caused prices to just be out of control. We got a notification not too long ago from our electric company that our electric usage was going to be going up as far as the cost. The rate was going to be going up between 20 to 39%. And I looked at it and I'm thinking, well, how could it keep going more and more, especially that big a jump? That's a big increase. So I get it. Times are tough right now. People are really feeling it. They're using credit cards. They're using buy now, pay later, which is they allow you to have the product now and you set up equal payments, maybe 4 equal payments. But if you miss those payments or can't pay it on time, there are big fees. To me, I don't know if that model is going to work very long, because I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to struggle enough that they may not be able to actually pay those payments for those items that they already have in their possession. And I do want to cover some of the delinquency rates right now on these different categories for this debt. The report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows the percent of balances that are at least 90 days delinquent or more. So 90 plus days delinquent. And what's interesting about this, when you get a chance, if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. But if I look at mortgages, the delinquency rate is not anywhere near what it was back in the Great Recession, back in 2008, 9, and 10. Mortgage delinquencies, as far as 90 days delinquent or more, are very low. However, when we look at credit card delinquencies, back in 2010, after the Great Recession, at the end, they hovered around 13.7% of credit cards were at least 90 days delinquent. Right now, we are at 12.3% of credit cards are 90 days or more delinquent. 12 point. So not much different, just slightly lower than where we were after the Great Recession. So that's a little concerning for sure. And then we have student loan debt. Student loan debt back after the Great Recession was hovering around 9%. However, right now, student loans are 10.2% of student loans are currently at least 90 days delinquent. And of course, what we saw a massive spike. If you end up looking at this chart, you'll see that there's a massive spike when the student loan payments were needing to start being paid again. So that's the difference there. But it did jump up to 10%. Before the pandemic, it was hovering around 10 to 11%, sometimes a little bit higher than that. So we're back up to the 10% with regards to 90 days delinquent on student loans. As for autos, this one's definitely concerning, because we're looking at auto loans back after the Great Recession, where about 5.3% was the peak as far as how many auto loans were delinquent at least 90 days or more. 5.3. Fast forward to today, and as of the latest report, we're at 5%. So almost the same delinquency rate now on auto loans as we had during or right after the Great Recession. So there's some numbers on delinquencies, definitely some issues that we see going forward. People are struggling just to pay for food and utilities and their housing expense. I get it. So what are they having to do? They're having to choose, what am I going to pay? And some people are choosing that they cannot pay their car payment, or maybe they can't pay their credit card payment anymore. So we're in a very difficult time. We really are. And I think everybody feels it. I know they haven't said we're in a recession, but it just feels like things are slowing. It feels like money is tight. It just feels like the cost of living continues to go up, even though I know they say that they're getting a hold of inflation. Inflation is cooling, but I know it did tick back up a little bit. And my concern is, does inflation continue to run free, or is labor going to take a hit? Meaning, are we going to see more job losses or more updates to the numbers that came out from the jobs reports? What are we going to see there? Because the Fed has a difficult job. They have two things that they usually focus on. That's, they want to keep unemployment low, but they also want to keep price stability. They want to keep prices stable. What they're up against right now is the possibility of more job losses, which normally if you have job losses, they're going to cut rates to try to spur on the economy. However, if we have an an inflation environment that's continuing to be hot and go up, then it will be very difficult for them to justify cutting rates. Only time will tell, and we'll have to watch that real close. But I hope y'all are doing okay. I hope that, if you're struggling right now, I hope you find a way to get through this time. And I really hope that that you got something out of this video. If you have any questions or comments for me, let me know in the comments section down below. If you like it, let me know that as well, okay? I do appreciate your time greatly, and I wish you all the best. Until next time, take care.